What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. It's your boy D Dice. Man, Snowfall. This season has been one to really be engaged in because you just didn't know what was going to happen. And I love shows like that where you have to watch it every episode to really want to know what's going to happen and how deep the rabbit hole goes. I like this season because it, to me, in the beginning, it starts off as it's business as usual, where Franklin is in the position of selling dope to Manboy, which is the Crips, and also going about trying to expand off in Inglewood with Scully, trying to deaden their rivalry because right now they're just at odds with each other. But he's trying to continue to conduct business where it's benefiting both, and trying to manipulate a plot to take out one or the other, because like I said, it's so much gang killings, it's just bad for business. So you see in the beginning, he's trying to appeal to both sides, so one of them will take each other out and you just continue to do business. And the thing about Manboy is he's real smart. He's a smart guy, and he's catching on to that, like knowing that hey, he'd be doing the same thing over there that he's doing with us. So Manboy's thought process is, for this whole season, was I'm trying to find Franklin's plug so I can take Franklin out because I don't need him. He's too manipulative and he wants to try to get his own way, where I'm just trying to do my own thing and grow. So I really love that aspect when it was coming from Manboy. So from that little instance, when Franklin was laying up with T, I was telling myself when we all got introduced to T, because she wasn't in last season, but she's all of a sudden, Franklin's laid up with her. He's in our house, and he's like basically his love interest. And I'm just telling myself, who is this chick? Either one, she's a feds, or two, she's snaking him out, trying for something or somebody. And time goes on. I'm telling myself, I'm like, yeah, you can tell she's working an angle on him. And it got to that point, like I said, this is just totally spoilers, but it got to that point where, when Louis and Jerome had went to travel, and T is in the club, running the club with Franklin, and then Reed comes in all drunk. So that's what let me know you're working an angle, because you're trying to find as much information on Franklin as possible. And that's why I kept telling myself this whole season, like, I hope Franklin is smart enough to catch on to that. And evidently, man, that's what made me love this show. And we'll get to that in just a second. But when it gets to that standoff where, Manboy and Scully and then Franklin and their little crew are at that warehouse trying to do a shootout, and Manboy's like, I got him, I killed him, and you just knew Scully was just on the ride over there. Scully had like dropped some like LSD or something in his ear, and I was like, damn, bro, like you could tell this man is definitely a worthy villain to not be messed with. And I was telling myself, you should have a lot more seasons with this dude, because this dude is definitely the epitome of one of those crazy ass gangbanging dudes that you just don't want to mess with. And just going into that, and even like I said with Manboy and the Crips, it's just seeing how smart and how he was trying to play the whole scene, but still manipulate to his benefit. And as Manboy was like, yeah, I shot Scully, I got him, and knowing that Scully got shot, but he ain't dead. So after a while, you fast forward, Scully is so mad with it, it's like, yeah, it's Franklin's fault. I just like, when I find Franklin, I'm gonna stone him, I'm gonna get him. And just from that, you see Leon is like, he's running the projects, and he's like, well, I don't want to be involved in your little war with, Scully and Manboy. I just want to do my own things, run the projects, and be cool. And it gets to the point where, both gangs know who Franklin runs with, so he sees Leon, and he shoots at Leon. And he's like, man, you got me tangled up in your war. So, it's not the fact that Leon was trying to get back at Scully. It was just the fact that you were finding Leon was finding them a lot more than Franklin was. Just put it that way. And it all come to a head where Leon was in Fatback was in that car, and Scully's kind of crew with Khadijah and their baby in the back, and they look at each other at the light, and then they just start shooting, and Leon's crew just shoots all up in the car, and evidently hits Khadijah's baby. So that sent them to overboard to be like, now we gonna gun for Leon. And that had to make Leon go into hiding because he just knew that the bounty on his back was just too immense. And fast forward and going over to Reed Thompson, and he's in a position where he's with Gustavo trying to get stuff over the border from Mexico, and then he's running into the Mexican police and how corrupt they are. It was like, I know what you're doing, I know what you're gonna do. And they wanted like $100,000 a shipment to be moving over to this one police. And evidently they get to Gustavo's brother and his family, and they kill them. So that kind of sent Gustavo over the edge, like, man, I can care less, we're gonna go get him. And that forced Reed's hand, because Reed had to kind of come out and tell him, you know, hey, I'm CIA. You can't just go over and try to start a war with these people. It'll be very, very bad for everybody. And right now, you are the only way and link that I can get some of these drugs over the border. So Reed had to really reveal himself to Gustavo after his family and brother got killed. And Gustavo was kind of like, whatever. Well, if you are CIA, then you need to help me find Lucia. And that was been his whole motive, which he was just like, and him and Reed really are a good team. Because even with that Javi situation of the guns not coming to Nicaragua, where the Nicaraguans got killed by the Contras, and you had and Reed's trying to backtrack where the money's going, so you had to go meet up with Javi. Turns out Javi's banker was stealing the money, so that kind of led to Reed and Gustavo having to go find that trail of what's going on and trying to resume business and try to get that money back, just to get it to just keep going as far as funding the war. So I love that aspect. And then after a while, you see Reed's brother gets killed at the same time, and hence going back to he meets Franklin in that bar and was like, everybody's expendable, I don't care. Like you seen Reed's descent in this season. And just to make matters worse, with all this going on, and you see that Manboy is having people follow Franklin around just to try to find out who his plug is. So it's a lot of things that's going on top of the police is harassing Franklin like, we're going to get you. Just right now, know that you're protected. And moving on to Sissy and how she's helping Franklin on the business front to try to get more business expansions, more places, just to kind of wash his money. And what hurt me a lot in this season was when Franklin was going to this bookstore owners, which he's been knowing a long time, was like, hey, how about I give you guys this loan? Just say that I could be part of the loan. I could be part of your business, and you guys could get to keep everything. And basically, really like uplifting them, like, yeah, we gotta keep black owners in this community. And then when stuff was kind of going south, he was like, man, I need it, so therefore I'm a bankroll. You guys get out. And they've been there for so long, was like, man, we should have never went into business with you. He was like, well, you did, so get out. And I was telling myself that really hurt, because I'm seeing the cold-heartedness in Franklin towards his own people, because that's what it does to you as far as the business that he's in. He's becoming really, really cold-hearted. And I tell myself that hurts, but, switching over to Louis and Jerome, where he gets on them as well, it's like, hey, we need to move, we need to make more money, we need to expand, there's no other way. So Louis already knew why he needed to expand, because they have a lot more inventory than they can have money. So that's why Louis and Jerome had to go down to Little Rock, Arkansas, and meet up with her, I think her sister or cousin, and trying to push the cocaine epidemic, crack epidemic to Little Rock, Arkansas. And Jerome was so upset, like, why are we way out here? Why do we need to do this? We have enough to get out. And that's when Louis finally tells Jerome, like, man, because Franklin is in it with the CIA, we all are, so we have to continue to do this. We have no choice. That's when Jerome got really, really upset and was like, I cannot believe that we're doing something like this. And you see them just hooking everybody to crack on Little Rock so they can make some money out there so they can expand. And that's, to me, starting off their business venture to say that they're having their own separate business. So in the meantime, Leon is laying low, and he's just suffering from PTSD with the shooting and killing of the little girl. And Khadijah is trying to have Manboy and Scully squash their differences to just go focus on Leon. And trying to find Leon, Franklin sets up Leon in this old apartment so he can't go anywhere, where they get a hold of Fatback. And they bail Fatback, and they just, Franklin had to work that angle with Leon. It's like, man, look, he's gonna go to jail, he's gonna be protected, don't worry about it. Just let him take the fall because they're both wanted on that. So when Fatback goes to jail, they bail him out, and he's thinking that it's Franklin and with Leon, when in fact it was Khadijah. So Khadijah, ends up killing Fatback, and the projects is at a standstill where they want Leon's head for Fatback's death. Like, how you sell him out like that? It should have just been you. Like, you don't do that to your soldiers, type of thing. So Leon gets into it with some of the people that's some of Fatback's cousins, which is the OGs in the hood, where he needs Jerome's help to kind of bail him out. Now, because of that, it's kind of settled to say that, hey, you got Fatback, he did everything. So Leon's pretty much okay, but they're still looking for Leon. So end up going to Fatback's funeral, where Khadijah had hired these two girls to basically try to find Leon as much as possible, and they find him at this funeral, and they shoot up the funeral, ending up shooting Louis instead. So that's when it sent Jerome into overdrive, like, nah, because she was just getting into it about Jerome, like, you don't need to be down in the projects helping Leon. We have enough problems anyway. So Jerome's mind is like, well, we ain't never going to stop having problems because we're in it and we can't get out of it. So after that, after Louis getting shot, he was in the overdrive, and he was so upset. It was like, nah, we got to go ride on him. We got to go get him. That's just, that's my baby. Don't do that. And Franklin ends up stopping him, but Franklin took a huge beating from Jerome, because Jerome is just getting pissed off that, man, you got us so far into all this crap that we can't get out, and beats up Franklin. But Franklin ends up stopping him to where it's like, man, I got a plan. We're gonna find him. So at that particular time, that's when you have T like, okay, well, I'll set up a meeting with Manboy, just give up the plug. And Franklin had that sense of, man, you said something that made me think that I knew it was you that's been playing me all along. And it goes along with the little plan, but let him know that, Franklin is at our house, listen to the whole conversation that she's having with Manboy, and was like, man, you set me up. So basically, I liked how that played out with Franklin and T, and end up killing Manboy and framing T for it, while Jerome got his revenge with all of Manboy's little friends, shot them all in the car, and was able to get him. And they also was able to set up Khadijah as well, to and just having Wanda, who I was happy from her journey of being just a stone cold crackhead to where she's starting to realize that this just ain't it. Like, this is bad. She just like just off of it. Like, and she finally got shot when Scully was trying to find Leon. She got shot. Leon put her up in the hospital to make her detox and get her off the drugs. She got off, and I feel like somewhat she's trying to find her way, of what it's like not being on crack, and end up kind of helping out with Leon. And that's why I told myself, I'm like, you could tell she's always been like loyal to Leon, although put her through all that, because that used to be Leon's lady. So help them set up Khadijah, and they finally got Khadijah. Franklin was like, man, I'm gonna get you, you gotta go, because you just a nuisance. And it deadened those stories where it sent Scully into overdrive. So fast forwarding back to Franklin and Franklin's dad with Sissy and Alton, as Alton is running the community center, like a kind of like a shelter, and he's seeing the detriment of what Franklin is causing in their neighborhood. It's a lot more crackheads. It's a lot more broken families. A lot more people that's going, being homeless in their community. Where it's taking a toll. Where he's seeing a guy, lost his job. He had his kids. Mom's on crack. So it's just him and the kids, and they become homeless. and he eventually gets on crack, ODs, dies, and right in front of the shelter, he just dies. And that prompts Alton to go talk to a reporter. So comes in Irene. So, Irene's just snooping, been having everything, but she finally gets a hold of Alton where she has all the pieces, but she needed to hear it to be like, and Alton was that person to lay everything out, exposing Reed, Franklin, and the whole CIA, which is based off of a true story. If you guys watch the movie The Messenger with Jeremy Renner, it's basically that, like how this one reporter exposes the CIA and selling crack and selling dope to fund the Nicaraguan wars. I think it's called like the Secret of Dark War or something like that. And it's that, so she's basically playing that character, and it becomes a nuisance for Franklin and Reed, where they're both getting outed from everybody because they're on the radio, they're on record saying that, yeah, the CIA is pumping crack in South Central LA to fund their war, and that's what's killing a lot of these people. So Alton was so sick of it that he ran to the reporter, and that kind of exiled Alton from the family, where Franklin was like, I don't ever want to see you again. If they do find you, they'll kill you. And had Reed on Irene's trail, which he eventually gets to her. And I thought that because he was getting outed, that he was definitely going to let her walk away. But of course, in true Reed fashion, Reed definitely is a gifted killer. And hence that he was trying to go after Alton towards the end of the season. So that was coming to the season finale where he's like, where's your dad? And Franklin kind of stepped in, was like, you ain't finna do that, not that. But just getting down to those last final minutes of the season finale, I'm just like, yeah, Reed definitely, they let Sissy and Alton go to Cuba. He got fake passports. They move on. But, those last couple seconds, Reed is in Cuba and he found Alton. So that's why I tell myself, I'm like, yeah, I'm thinking this next upcoming season, Alton's definitely not going to be there. And it's just chaotic, but at the same time, you see how Reed's position of, because all this has been going on, that I may be out, but Gustavo's going to run point of this, that could, it's still business as usual. Don't get it twisted. I know you went through all your stuff, you got out of it. It is business as usual. And Franklin is getting more and more cold-hearted, where Louis and Jerome wants to also kind of step away from Franklin to be like, hey, it's just not right now. It ain't like it was, so we want to step away. And then even Leon is kind of like, I just want to be done completely. I just want out of it. I don't even want anything. I just want to be done. So Franklin is at a standstill, like, I don't really know what to do, but I am going to figure it out because you guys are going to keep going because we're a family. This is how we're going to keep doing this. And then eventually at the very end, Franklin goes sees Mel up in Odessa, Texas, where she's volunteering at a Christian center, and he just runs up on her, was like, I knew it was you who went to go talk to the reporter, that's how she got my name. He said, I let you live because I already know where you at. I already know everything about you, what you're doing, but don't do that. I'm going to give you a fair warning. Don't ever do that again. And I love it because Franklin has been using this cane for like this whole season ever since Mel has shot him. So he's been on this cane. So what better conclusion to him walking with the cane was to go see Mel, confront Mel about, Franklin killing Mel's father. And eventually Mel, high on drugs, shoots and tries to kill Franklin, putting him on that cane, and confronts Mel, and then hangs the cane up and says, I'm walking fine again. I'm back good. So that's how Franklin is definitely going to be a stone cold, just hardened type of individual come this next season. I think next season is a season finale. And I just loved every bit of it because, like I said, you just didn't know what was going to go on and how Franklin was going to outsmart everyone. But eventually he does. That's why I love this, because you're just seeing how they have to maneuver so much going on in South Central LA versus, the gang wars. It's Reed Thompson. It's the reporters. So now that everyone knows that this is going on, how would they stay afloat, and how Franklin is going to try to scheme or get his way out of this. So that's something that's yet to behold, but that's why I love this. So if you guys enjoyed my review of Snowfall season 4, subscribe to my channel. Post a comment down below and like the video. It's your boy, D Dyson. Peace.